Hello, and welcome to Learn It from a Layman. I'm not Carl Christensen.
I think people can tell that. And the last time, someone else took over the intro from me. It crashed and burned relatively quickly, didn't it, Cameron?
It did, but I thought it was hilarious.
It was pretty good, actually. I mean, crashed and burned in the way that, like, all of a sudden, I saw my life flash before my eyes. And no, but it is Learn It from a Layman, and that was not Carl Christensen because I'm Carl Christensen. That was Matt, and you heard the voice of Cameron, and we're back together without Tim. Poor Tim.
It's such sad parting.
Yep, exactly. Today we're going to be discussing goals and resolutions, but in this case we're going to be talking about the science of goals because it's such a nebulous, kind of touchy-feely type of thing.
Those are very scientific terms there.
Well, that's the problem, right? Is around this time of year, the beginning of the year, this is the beginning of 2022, people talk about setting goals.
5th on the East Coast.
Right. Well, near the beginning, I said.
And 4th on the West Coast because we keep doing these podcasts at
yeah, well, I don't have a lot of
morning.
It's a difficult problem, okay? Anyway, the resolutions and goals that people set around this time of year are often, I mean, they're even said when people make them that, oh yeah, maybe I'll keep this for a week. They make them jokingly and never plan to actually keep them. So I'm more interested in the science of setting goals and resolutions and being able to keep them and why you should set them and those types of things. So we're going to talk about the science of goal setting and a few examples, a few anecdotes, if you will. So, Cameron, Matt, are you resolution or goal people?
I try to be because I also believe that goals have a noble purpose, but I don't often succeed with them because I am a normal human.
Quite. Cameron?
Cameron is more the strong silent type who doesn't realize his mic is on mute.
His goal is to speak less during the podcast.
I find they're just mostly just a waste of time because I never am able to complete them anyway. So
well, then today is your podcast.
Why even try?
All right. Well, I'll tell you why to try. So we're going to talk first. So I mean, you want to disambiguate, and that's one of the, I think, important first steps is there's goals versus intentions, right?
I think you just made up that word.
I do too. I was going to make wisecrack about how my new goal was to learn a new word every day, and now I did. But I think Cameron's right. I don't think disambiguate is a word. And if it is, it's certainly not a layman word. So, yeah.
Well, the laymen come to us, fellow laymen, in order to get, these new
wide-eyed, naive, thinking that we're going to use English to talk to them. And then we throw disambiguate at them.
They appreciate it. They love it. And they keep coming back for more. You want to disambiguate.
Very creepy.
Between goals and intentions, because intentions are more, thoughts. Goals are more specific, more planned out. And those, we're going to talk a little bit about the goal theory right now. So a lot of this I'm going to be talking about today comes from Edwin Locke, who is a pioneer in goal setting theory. And I believe he's still alive. Anyway, this is all relatively recent theory. I mean, obviously, you can imagine humans have been setting goals back since, Thud, the caveman's goal was to start a fire.
And what was his name?
Thud, I believe.
Okay.
They're all onomatopoetic names back then because they didn't,
they had the intention to start language, but they'd never set the goal to start language.
Yes, exactly.
So I think you're right. It is important to, what would be a good word? Distinguish.
Or disambiguate, if you will.
Between goals and intentions, but
quite. Yes, and so goals, let's talk about some different types of goals and ways that you set goals, and why goals and how to set goals in a meaningful way so that your goals can be different than your intentions. What is it? The popular saying, the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Wait, I'm a little confused though. You want our goals? I would have thought, maybe you're going to explain why I'm wrong here. But as a layman with layman experience with goals and intentions, I would have thought that the trick would be to get your goals and intentions to align.
Yes, but here's the thing. Intentions are more like step 1, where goals would be like step 10 along this road. Like you start with intentions, and if that's where you end, that's also where those intentions usually end as well, because you have never planned to actually carry those out. They're just something that exists in your neurons with as a potential outcome if it happens to you, instead of making it happen, right? So intentions, you want to take
that's that big thing that you want to distinguish is
right.
is the difference, and how to make sure that your
taking
intentions
turning
don't
them into
remain
goals.
intentions. Yeah,
Exactly.
I see. Okay, good
Let's
thing we made
formalize.
that distinction.
Okay, all right. Well, I've disambiguated well here.
Oh boy. I'm not. No.
Okay.
And
Yes,
so help me if anyone says nuclear on this
oh,
podcast.
and I will. So so you want to formalize your intentions by setting goals. And so if you in the past have set resolutions that are actually more of intentions, and then you wonder why they fail, well, that's why they failed. You haven't formalized them and given them a good theory, a good science backing them, this psychology that actually will help you achieve. And let me give you reasons to achieve and how to achieve. So like I said, Edwin Locke, in his 80s, I did confirm, apparently still alive, at least as of January 4th. So let's look at, so there are 5 key principles of goal setting. So clarity. So how specific and comprehensive the goal is. So you want to be very clear. Obviously, when you set a goal, you can't be nebulous with it. You can't, if someone asks you what your goal is and you can't define it well for them, and then you haven't set this principle of goal setting correctly. Challenge how difficult the goal is. This is number 2. Challenge how difficult the goal is and the degree to which it requires us to extend our abilities. So obviously that's what goals are, and generally we all know that underlyingly. But if your goal is to do something that you're already doing and or that you cannot do, like I am not going to set a goal in 2022 to become an astronaut, because it turns out I cannot do that.
There's some bitterness there.
So you want something that will extend and or stretch you, something that will challenge you, but not something that you cannot achieve. I'm not going to set a goal to break the 4-minute mile in running, because come on. But you know, I have, if I know my capacity, then I want to stretch that, and that's what I'm going for with these goals. So number 3, commitment. These are the 5 key principles of goal setting. Or number 3, commitment. How dedicated are we to reach the goal, and what value it renders to us? So this is like the utilitarian part of it. So what is there value in this? And if so, do we value that highly enough that we're committed to it? So there would be a lot of value actually in me becoming an astronaut, except I can't do it, right? So that's the challenge. So, but therefore I'm not committed to it. There's a lot of value in me, say, starting a multi-billion-dollar company, but that's more than I'm ready to commit to. So, so you need to find things that you are ready to commit to, and that you see value in.
This is one where parents of children in particular might want to take note. As your children are setting their goals, you will often find them trying to set goals that they're absolutely willing to commit to that have zero value, like I want to become a popular Minecraft streamer or some other garbage like that.
Right. Yes, exactly. So if we're setting goals to do something that would probably better actually not be done at all, then let's consider that what value it renders to us is 0 or negative in that case. So, but yeah, I was going to give you an anecdote here. So how dedicated are we to reach the goal, and what value does it render to us? This is one, once again, the beginning of the year, we often think of exercise goals or something like that. I don't think this has come up in the podcast, at least not recently, but I am a casual triathlete. I've done some triathlons, and last year I was challenged and set the goal to do an Olympic triathlon. So I did that with my brother-in-law, and that will come back in the next principle of goal setting as well. But so looking at the value proposition there, I decided, this is going to give me a reason to stay in shape and give me a hard deadline to be mindful of. And so how dedicated was I to reach it? Well, once again, once you set and pay for a race, and this is one a lot of people will wonder when they ask, why do you do triathlons or races and things like that? Well, that gives you this part of the goal setting. If you put the commitment in, and this is money where your mouth is type of commitment, then all of a sudden you have a reason to do it. And so I committed the first of the year in 2021 to do this Olympic triathlon. And at the end of July, I achieved that goal. We did both complete it alive. And so it was a successful goal, and we both benefited as a result of it. Me and my brother-in-law, that is. So that's an example of being committed to it and a way to commit to something. So the next goal setting key principle is feedback. And like I said, my brother-in-law committed with me to do this race. And so that gives you that next part, an important part of goal setting, and that's feedback. So it says how our achievements are perceived and recognized by others. Positive feedback increases satisfaction after achieving the target. So when I did this with my brother-in-law, I not only had him giving me feedback after the race, it was also during the race while I was doing the run-up and the work to do the Olympic triathlon, that we were talking together about our training, we were talking about what we needed to do to prepare, all those types of things. And so it gave me a lot of positive feedback and reinforcement that I needed to actually prepare for this. It wasn't one of those one and done, fly by night, I'll get ready next week type of things. It was, I got to get ready now because this is otherwise going to end me. So how our achievements are perceived and recognized by others does matter in this goal setting theory. And once again, this isn't Carl's list of ways to achieve key principles of your goal. This is Edwin Locke, who's a psychologist, a professor, and has studied these things. And so this is the formalized theory behind goal setting. So these are things to take to the bank, is what I'm saying. So last number 5 in this goal setting is complexity, the difficulty of the tasks we need to accomplish for reaching the ultimate goal. So you've got to analyze the complexity. So once again, like I said, the challenge and complexity, I think they kind of go hand in hand, but there's certainly both elements that we need to take into consideration. So the difficulty of the tasks that we need to accomplish for reaching the ultimate goal. So with my example of an Olympic triathlon, the challenge was doable, right? The difficulty was relatively high, but it was something but the complexity was another consideration, because we had to sign up for this triathlon. We had to get ourselves, me and my brother-in-law had to get there. We had to get there with our bikes. We had to know the route. I had to train in up to a particular level. So there were a lot of complexity that went into it as well, as far as just making sure that I was ready for this. And this isn't actually the most complex thing I've done with my brother-in-law in the triathlon field. Matt also, what was a Doxa race back a few years ago. Remember that complexity, yes. Matt?
Yeah, you're not just a casual triathlete. You're kind of, what's the word? A viral triathlete.
Yes. So I may have also taken down my brother. So Matt did it with me. Cameron also accompanied us on that, the most recent team triathlon. So if any of those listening are familiar with a Ragnar race, it's a relay style running race where you have multiple people involved and you run. And those were all over the place. Well, we found a race that was a relay style triathlon. So there were 36 legs, 12 swimming, 12 biking, 12 running, covered 280 miles or so. and we signed up for it. Well, I signed up for it 3 times, but only twice. I got you in there twice, didn't I, Matt? Yeah, I did. And Cameron came along with us once as well, and it was quite complex. Anyway, that goal setting there was significant because the complexity of the task was monumental. We had a lot of moving pieces. At one point, we were managing 3 teams, so we had 30 people that we were trying to get along this race here. But once again, back to goal setting theory. Clarity, challenge, commitment, feedback, and complexity are all things you need to take into consideration that are key principles of goal setting. And so let's move on now to 3 types of goals. Once again, these come from Edwin Locke. There's the process goals. And these are ones involved in execution of plans. Say I'm going to the gym in the morning, or taking the health supplements on time, and repeating the same action every day is a process goal. So if your goal is to go to the gym every day, then that's great. That's a process goal though, right? That's I need to do this daily, and that's my goal, is to achieve this process. There's performance goals, and these are goals help in tracking progress and give us a reason for continuing the hard work. So for example, studying for no less than 6 hours a day or working out for at least 30 minutes per day can help us in quantifying our efforts. So not only are you going to the gym, you're saying, I need to make sure that I do it 30 minutes a day, or I need to make sure that a week I get 6 hours a week in, or whatever that might be. This is something where I've heard before that it's important not only to measure your performance, but that's where the other key step in goal setting is important, where we talked about feedback. There's a quote that I heard: when performance is measured, performance improves. When performance is measured and reported, the rate of improvement accelerates. So you want to make sure that you not only track it, set these performance goals, that you then also report that. You have some type of feedback inside of that these performance goals. Honestly, any type of these goals, right? Even the process goals, you want your feedback loop in place. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. Finally, the outcome goals are successful implementations of process and performance goals. So this would be more like along the lines of performing a race.
Wouldn't that be like, I want to win an award or something?
Yeah, that's a good example, right? So instead of just, so I had my triathlon goal was, what was it? To do the Olympic triathlon in less than 2.5 hours. And so that is a outcome goal. And so winning a race is great, but let's be realistic. For someone like me, I'm not going for a win on a big race, but your specific outcome goals are still important. And you want to make sure that you are achieving something that you can measure and that you can stretch for. Going to the gym 30 minutes a day is a good goal. It is, however, not an outcome goal. And if you do not have an outcome in mind, your outcome is going to slip back to, well, I'm going to the gym, and then you're spending 10 minutes talking to the person at the front desk, and then you're another 10 minutes stretching, and then you jog for 10 minutes and you go home. You're going to the gym, but you're not getting the same cardiovascular strength related benefits. And I'm using a lot of gym examples, but these go across the board: reading books, learning an instrument, learning a language, all those types of things. You need some type of an outcome associated with it as well. Okay. Anything to add there, Matt?
Do you want to put in, I don't know, I think you've actually done a pretty good job, but could we just do like some contrasting examples between what intention versus goal would be like for some of those things?
Oh, sure. So with the process goal, let's come up with some good examples here. So like I said, we said going to the gym in the morning and repeating the same action every day. So your goal is to go to the gym daily. Your intention would be, I want to go to the gym more often.
Okay.
Right? You're looking at more nebulous and less specific, right? You're looking at more like, oh, I want to get in better shape. If that's your New Year's resolution, I'm afraid to tell you you've already failed. Because
I don't think you had a lot of trepidation about that at all. You just kind of came out and said it. Wow.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Well, there goes our fat listener, but no, sorry.
My.
Um,
Yes, quite. No, I mean, people have good intentions, right? I believe that the vast majority of the 7 billion people in the world have good intentions, and many of them set reasonable goals. The problem is you have to have all of these principles of goal setting in a row, your ducks in a row, in order to really be able to achieve and move forward. Now, some of you have this already lined up, and you're very good goal setters, and so these are either things that you already do and maybe haven't formalized, or things that you know quite well.
well, and to be clear, yes, you have to have all these things in a row, but here at Learn It from a Layman, our purpose in life is to tell you things not that are super hard and unreachable, but things that are actually kind of easy once you just know how to do them. So,
Right, like
yeah,
calculus.
well, okay, bad example, thank you. But yeah, I mean, this goal setting process can be done. It's not hard.
Right.
It's just something to be aware of so that your intentions can become, turn into an outcome or a
Right.
performance or a
Right.
or a process that actually happens.
Yes, exactly. And I mean, most people know this kind of underlyingly, but when you set a goal, when you set a process goal, you're setting essentially a lifestyle for yourself. And so you have to, once again, go back to those key principles of goal setting and saying, are you ready for that challenge? Are you committed to it? Because if you don't want to change your life in that way, don't set that goal, right? Because that means that you aren't. That goal is. I mean, we could go into some type of philosophy here, like Kantian desires and whatever. We're not going to talk about. That will be some future day when we talk about Kant. But
Why?
what?
Oh, it's fine.
Okay. Anyway, you want to set goals that are meaningful and that versus intentions that have the potential to be meaningful but are more like uh, passive wants, right? And that's the difference. Is you want to formalize these. So the performance goal that would be more of intention based is I want to once again, performance goals, tracking progress, and giving a reason for continuing the hard work. So you kind of start moving away from intentions when you move up these three types of goals. A performance goal might be that performance intention might be that I want to work out, 3 hours a week. And that's going to look very much like the goal itself. The problem is that that's just the first step, right? Then you've got to make plans for it, commit to it, establish that feedback, and work through the complexity of the goal. Not just say, I want this, and then forget about it, or hope that it happens to you. You got to clear up your schedule. You got to make sure that you have someone to watch the kids or the dog. You have to make sure that you have the gym pass and you have someone either to go with or someone that you're going to provide feedback to on a relatively frequent basis. They're going to hold you accountable. All of those things are important when changing your lifestyle, because you've chosen a lifestyle that fits you in the way that you are right now. And so if you want something different about it, you have to change more than just words. You have to change execution of your life. Um, and so that's a multi-step process. So let's move on to a few ways that this is according to Locke and Latham, who I believe is another professor in psychology. It says goals affect performance in the following ways. Goals direct attention and effort toward goal-relevant activities. Difficult goals lead to greater effort. Goals increase persistence, with difficult goals prolonging effort, and goals indirectly lead to discovery and use of task-relevant knowledge and strategies. So this kind of gets me more to the last part of the podcast, where I wanted to talk about why you should set goals. A lot of people are thinking, well, I'm happy with my life as it is. Why should I do anything why do I need to set goals? And hopefully the idea is that you have rewards that you get or progress that you make. And so being happy with where you're at is great, but that doesn't mean that you can't improve, and ways to move forward in life are rewarding yourselves. So let's talk about a few examples of how this works. One way, just anecdotally of my own, before we look at a few studies where they looked at these, I used to live with, back in college, one of our frequent co-hosts who we didn't invite. Just kidding, we did, but Tim didn't come. I used to live with Tim in college, and Tim taught me how to juggle. And I was struggling mightily, and then we had the opportunity to do a talent show.
Now, what's the
And
value proposition on juggling?
yeah, we'll get there. All right.
I don't know that we
So
will.
I think we will.
Okay.
So I've been making some progress, but once again, without a specific outcome goal. It was kind of just passively like, oh, I'm going to practice juggling a little bit. And then we had an outcome goal all of a sudden because I signed us up for a talent show, a church talent show. And I told him after the fact, which is what I did usually when I did things like this to him, that we were going to be doing juggling together, pair juggling at this talent show in front of our whole church group. And Tim's not the usual type of person that does that type of thing, but it is great once again to have that kind of feedback and have someone that pushes you like that. So we had that outcome goal set, and all of a sudden we had to achieve, and but the reward then, the reason, the value proposition in this juggling was more than just hand-eye coordination, which is, by the way, Matt, one of the value propositions of juggling, and significant if I
Yay.
don't say so myself. Hey,
Yeah, it's also one of the value propositions for Minecraft. That doesn't make it worthwhile.
yeah, but more people are impressed when I juggle than when I click buttons on the computer. So
Anyway,
okay,
you were getting to an actual point here, which I
yes,
was
I was.
anxious to hear because I don't believe it.
So we went to this church talent show. We did our act, and it went off quite swimmingly. I can't say that we were professional jugglers, but we had a nice juggling routine. But we also paired it with some comedy, as I think most people are used to juggling, having some comedy involved. Unless you're incredibly talented at juggling, a comedy less juggling show is a bit hard to watch, because as soon as a ball drops or something drops, it's just hard to come back from. And unless you're a serious professional, that you drop some juggling balls sometimes. So
tune
in
in
our
next
case,
time when we discuss how to be a professional juggler on Learn It from a Layman.
Anyway, we did our show, went off quite well. The jokes we had prepared also went off quite well, and we won the award for the best talent that night. And my future wife, may have actually been in the audience that night. And her brother was also there, and they may have actually discussed me and my cousin after the show and said, wouldn't it be cool if you married one of them? Now, her response might have been that would never happen, but it did happen. So,
never mind. We won't go into that. Good work. Goals
exactly.
get you a wife. That's what you should all take away. Whereas if you simply had the intention to juggle, it wouldn't have happened.
Exactly.
Do you want to recap those 5 principles that make a goal a goal?
Yes. Clarity, challenge, commitment, feedback, and complexity. So let's talk about a few examples outside of my little anecdote of juggling. I could come up with more, but there's there's a number of different examples, studies that they've done. Just a quick summation of a few before we read some examples. It says that professors get tenure faster with goals. Employees get larger raises. Students learn up to 250% faster. And these are all results of research. So it says research has shown that ambitious goals are far more motivating. A study published in the Journal of Applied Psychology found that people who committed to an ambitious goal, in this case reducing energy consumption by 20%, actually ended up saving energy. People committed to an easier goal ended up consuming the same amount as before. So that's one of those, if your goal is to barely reach outside of what you're already doing, you're probably not going to change, as opposed to a more
lifestyle altering kind of thing.
Right.
Huh.
This one. Okay. So here's another example. this is a landmark study of multiple sclerosis patients in the University of Texas. It says researchers found that MS patients who set ambitious wellness goals had fewer, less severe symptoms than a control group. In effect, goal setting actually helped heal their brains. So that's a great example of why goal setting would be good. Chronic illness is nothing to joke about. And so instead, let's set goals about trying to overcome it as best you can. Now, no one's saying that you're going to set a goal to overcome MS, but that you're going to limit some of the effects of it. It appears that's possible, right? That's a great reward for setting a goal, right? Okay, so another example, another study showed that it's for 10 weeks, 41 participants received goal plans and were either set by supervisors or chosen by the participants themselves. The results were participants with difficult goals achieved greater success than others, and that's essentially what we just talked about. Participants with higher self-esteem did better on task accomplishments, and participants with a greater understanding of why the goal was necessary for them had more chances of being successful with the target plans. So that's more about the goal theory. So understanding some of these things of why I would set this goal and or being confident in yourself and being able to do it, those lead to actually achieving goals. So if you don't have self-esteem and maybe that's a goal, increase self-esteem, and how I guess that's more of an intention.
That sounds a lot like an intention.
Right,
how would
exactly.
you make self-esteem? That's a difficult one. How would you make that become a goal?
Right. That's a good question, and I'm guessing what you would need to do is set a goal to talk to a friend daily about
whatever it is, it would have to
like
involve a specific process that you monitor and carry out, whether it's affirmations. I don't know if those work, but that might be a thing.
And set feedback in, once again, so challenge yourself, clarity. So whether or not it's you start with public speaking in front of a few friends, challenge yourself, commit to it, feedback, and have them provide feedback and tell them that you're working on self-esteem. So help them give you some very positive feedback, ways that you can improve, things like that. Because the more you put yourself out there and have good feedback, the higher that self-esteem is going to go. So but yeah, let's see another study here. So this is a study conducted by Dr. Gail Matthews. So it sought to find evidence for claims coming out of Harvard that well-planned and well-written goals impact students' performance and achievements. So in this study, 267 participants were recruited from business and professional networking groups to take part. They were divided into 5 groups. The first group set no goals and had no plans. The second group set goals but did not prepare a plan to execute them. The third group prepared well-defined goals and plans of action to achieve them. The fourth group prepared well-defined goals and plans of action, then sent these to a supportive friend. And the fifth group prepared well-defined goals, plans of actions, then sent these to a supportive friend together with weekly progress reports. Results revealed that the fifth group, who had their goals written with concrete plans of action and drew on the support of a friend to hold them accountable, accomplished significantly, and my parentheses here would be, I'm assuming that's statistically significantly, more than all the other groups. This study serves to highlight the benefits of writing down goals and action plans. So that's kind of moving up that ladder of what we were talking about, those 5 key elements to goal setting. Goal theory, and that's once again the benefit of science and a scientific term versus kind of a nebulous out there term
like disambiguate.
Right, I can use the word goal in normal day-to-day parlance and say, oh, I have a goal of being nicer to people this year. Well, is that really a goal? When you get down to the goal science of it, no, it's not, right? And so that's why making this more scientific, really grounding it in some theory, can help you recognize that's not really even a goal at all. The first group even the second group that set goals but did not prepare a plan to execute them didn't really have goals. They had good intentions. And so let's
so all I'm hearing here is that I don't have to be nice to people anymore.
I don't understand that. What?
What I'm hearing is I don't have to be nice anymore.
Why is that?
Because it's not a real goal. I don't have to be nice to people because it's not a real goal.
It's not.
That's what you just said.
Because my goal was to be nice to people, and it wasn't a real goal. Right. Well,
Not to be nice to people, or you just don't want to be nice to people.
I'm not setting up an execution plan of being nice to people. So if I'm generally not nice to people, I will continue to not be nice to people. However, if I set a goal to do so, I need to set plans and
you need to
go through the
survey
goal
people
theory.
now and be like, do you feel that I was more pleasant?
Well, no, but you can certainly set a feedback group in and be like, ask your spouse and or family member or a good friend weekly and be like, was I nicer this week? Did I curse at you more or less often? Did I, go along those lines,
There we go.
How grumpy was I this week? From 1 to 10?
Yeah, sure, exactly. So that you got to set these goals. And so one last study I wanted to talk about here is a small enterprise-oriented study that explored how goal setting and entrepreneurial qualities affected the productivity of the employees and overall success of the organization. Results indicated the importance of marketing abilities of the organizational head to be significant influence in the company's goal-setting plans. And so this is more along the lines of, if you as a leader, let's say you're in a company, you've got people that work for you. If you are not setting goals, that's going to affect everyone. If you are setting goals, it's going to be a trickle-down type of effect. Everyone else is going to recognize that you are improving and going in your company, and follow suit and set goals also. So if you are stagnant in your position as in work or in a family, then people are going to stagnate along with you. So that's more or less what that study shows. All right. Well, that's most of what we wanted to discuss tonight. Once again, resolutions are great. There's nothing wrong with having good intentions, but if you want to move those intentions from your mind to reality, you need to follow a specific set of steps. And I think the most important one that I wanted to discuss, because a lot of these people know, but it's really that feedback loop in and commitment. Those two together. You've got to commit to a lifestyle change. Yeah, Matt?
I think it's really all 5 of those. I don't know that you can
sure.
set.
No, you can't.
It really is the whole process.
Yes.
And it's just knowing about it so that you can execute it. It's really doesn't have to be
knowledge is power.
That difficult. Although your goals should be difficult, they should be stretching. But yeah, this whole goal setting process, not that tough.
Right. So
what we're saying to our listeners is that they should set a goal to listen to us more frequently.
They should.
So they should set it by listening to a podcast a week or more and go through it, right?
Perfect.
And leave feedback for us.
Your goal is to listen to Learn It From a Layman's whole library of content and to provide feedback for us.
We should absolutely cut this part.
Should we? No, yes. I was going to give an update, like I always do, on our listeners. Right now, we've got a run and gun battle for second place among the United States between California and Texas, and just going right back and forth. So California and Texas, we appreciate.
That's for who's listening to us most?
Correct. Yes, for second place among the states. Now, second place among the countries that listen to us, once again, still just coming down neck and neck between the UK and India. So sometimes the UK is in the lead, sometimes it's India. Canada still nice third place. Canada, Australia actually sometimes trade places. They're in third, fourth. So everyone's goal should be to move up to Learn It From a Layman listener rankings, exactly.
Now, and what's the value of that one?
Quantified, to be determined in a future day when we distribute swag.
I don't know. I think I can determine that one pretty straight off here.
Hey, well, you learn calculus, you'll learn quantum physics, you'll learn statistics and physics, and now you'll learn goal setting. So the positive things that you'll get from Learn It From a Layman is some basic familiarity with lots of different fields, and you can make a goal to pick out the ones that you like the most and let us know which ones you would like us to cover. So with that said, go update those resolutions that you have made and come back for our next podcast, which will be really exciting. We've got another guest coming on. This is our first out of country. Well, that's not true, actually. We've had podcast guests out of the country before, but this is my friend Chris. He's going to be visiting with us from Suriname, and he'll be discussing Guyana with us. So we're looking forward to that a lot, and join us back for that podcast.